the cellar master hands it off to someone else, and 6 people later actually then it goes over to maintenance, and may get lost there for a while. It could take a week.
Don't let all these people in on all of our secrets here, Mike. The glamour of being a winemaker. Wow.
Absolutely, especially in 2020.
Absolutely.
So we'll give it just one more minute and then we'll get started. Jeff, how about you? Any assistant winemaker jokes?
Oh, we can. Assistant winemaker jokes. I don't know.
You gonna hold back on that one? It's a wise choice.
Oh boy, we're all too tired to make jokes these days, right?
That's true. Well, why don't we go ahead and get this party started? I wanted to welcome everyone to Taste of Sonoma Virtual, Taste of Sonoma at Home. Today, we're going to be doing a little exploration of the Russian River Valley of Sonoma County, a place that's near and dear to my heart, and our esteemed panelists. I wanted to start by welcoming all of our panel members here. We have a distinguished group, starting with Natalie Dale from Francis Ford Coppola Winery. She's going to be talking a little bit about Sebastopol Hills neighborhood. We have Mr. Jeff Stewart from Hartford Family Wines. He's going to be talking about the beautiful Laguna Ridge neighborhood of the Russian River Valley. And we have KIKO Freeman from Freeman Winery. She's going to be talking a little bit about Green Valley, which of course is its own AVA. And my name is Mike Sullivan, and I will be your moderator today, passing questions on to the panelists and hopefully getting excited about Russian River Valley. So this is going to be fun. The neighborhoods concept is something that the Russian River Valley wine growers has been working on for the last 20 years. And it's really come to fruition in the last probably 5 or 6. We've recognized 6 neighborhoods within the Russian River Valley that are distinctive. Many of these have been around for 100 years. And the old timers had talked about differences between the middle reach of the Russian River Valley. I'll go through and list them really quickly. We have the eastern hills of Sonoma River. We have middle reach of the Russian River Valley. We have Laguna Ridge. We have Green Valley. We have the Santa Rosa Plains, Sebastopol Hills, and that's the grouping. So why don't we start off? We'll start off with Natalie. And Natalie, why don't you tell us a little bit about Francis Ford Coppola Winery and where you guys are and what you do up there?
Hi, everyone. So I am one of the winemakers at the family Coppola. And I think about 2006 is when they expanded their wineries out to Sonoma County. So first winery was in Inglenook, and you might recognize the Diamond Claret, which is in a lot of grocery stores. That got its start over at the Rutherford Estate. And then the Coppolas really wanted a place where people could just spend the day. So the new winery in Sonoma is in Geyserville, and it's the old. It's really it's like 7 miles north of Healdsburg. There's a swimming pool, there's bocce courts, there's a restaurant, and there's a Tucker car. There's a lot of memorabilia there from a lot of Francis's film. And I got my start there in 2011, which was kind of a cool harvest. My background is I started probably about 20 years ago doing my first harvest at Copan, and that kind of sold me. That was, we had these big long lunches and we worked hard, and it was just so fulfilling. So after I graduated from Cal Poly, I went around the world and I'd skipped hemispheres, doing different harvests as much as I could. It was really kind of an interesting group, that generation of people trying to get into the wine industry. Just kind of a bunch of misfits, and we would bump into each other on different continents, and it was really kind of fun. I think visa laws were a little bit more lax back then. I don't know how we all did it, but we did. And so that's where I kind of came to Coppola in 2011 after doing a bunch of skip and harvests around the world. And the great thing about the Coppola production is that we have something for everyone. So you'll see that claret, you'll see the diamond tier in a lot of grocery stores, and that's mostly California appellated. And then from there, once we purchased the new winery in Sonoma County, we wanted to focus on some smaller appellation kind of things, sort of expand everything and see what we could do. So from the California tier, we have next the appellation specific, and then we'll have our reserves, which are sort of the best of the best from that appellation. So we've got, we'll take some Zinfandel from Dry Creek, we'll take Alexander Valley Cabernet, and of course Chardonnay and Pinot Noir coming from Russian River. And what's great about this kind of setup is that it allows us to source from all over that appellation and kind of get our pick for the best representation of what we think grows great in that appellation. So in Russian River, we're sourcing a lot from the Duttons, and they are, you know, 5th generation farmers in the area. So they have a great deal of information on clone selection, soil selection, everything going on in the Russian River. So I have brought a Pinot Noir from the Russian River to taste with you today. And we do have a bunch of wine. The Coppola wine portfolio is really a house of brands. So under the Coppola name, we've got the reserves, we've got the appellation specific, and then we've got the California. And then you've got Sophia Coppola doing her own thing. And those are a completely different set of wines sourcing from Monterey County. And then you've got Gia Coppola, who is also getting into the wine side with a lot of really fun millennial kind of focused projects. And so under each, and also we have Oregon. So we have a new Oregon Pinot and a new Oregon estate. So that's really fun. What else about the Coppola?
So Natalie, you're responsible for multiple brands. You have multiple tier responsibilities in your day-to-day. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm working on most of the red wines. I as an assistant winemaker, I was working on a lot of the just Sonoma County wines, and so now I'm just more focused on red wines. So I'm getting all of the dark, rich stuff, and I get to play with all the fun barrels, which is really fun. It's fun to play with expensive toys.
Awesome.
But I just love the blending part of it too. I really love the different nuances that you can get from different barrels and different and everything that the different vineyards give us. It's really fun to have that spice rack to put stuff together. So yeah.
Well, excellent. Well, Mr. Jeff Stewart, tell us a little bit about a Hartford family.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, Hartford Family Winery was founded back in 1994. So been around a little while now. One of our moderators here today might have worked here years ago and put some good work in here and made some great wines. Thank you for that, Mike. But it's a wonderful little property in Forestville. So we're right at the northern end of the Green Valley AVA. So kind of right in between the Middle Reach and Green Valley is where the winery sits. We started out making 3 wines back in '94, and the focus then, as it is still today, really was on single vineyard bottlings, finding distinct, unique sites that made wines that really showcase a place. You can call that terroir, you could call it anything you'd like, but the idea was to really find vineyards that spoke through the glass and really showcase something unique. We've expanded that out quite a bit over the years. Today we'll bottle over 40 different wines this coming year, and that is comprised of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Old Vine Zin. We throw a little Syrah in for good measure, a rosé of Pinot Noir, a couple other little surprises like Chenin Blanc, but really our heart and soul is Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and the Old Vine Zin, being in the Russian River Valley. Those obviously are naturals, But we've expanded out a bit. We have vineyards out on the Sonoma coast as well. Not to, we're talking about Russian River today, but we look at all the AVAs around us and really love working with fruit all over Anderson Valley as well, southern part of Sonoma, even Oregon and Santa Rita Hills. But Russian River is our home. It is where we have most of our vineyards, and a good number of our wines come out of this area. And we actually play in most of the little neighborhoods that we're talking about when we talk about the neighborhoods of the Russian River. It's really a wonderful diversity of sites that we have here. So great opportunity to see lots of things. I got into this, into the Sonoma County world back in 1990, I guess. I worked over in Napa from 86 through 90. And while over there making Cabernet and Merlot and a little bit of Chardonnay, I fell in love with Pinot Noir and just found myself gravitating to Sonoma County and the Russian River in particular. So moved over here. I was lucky enough to find a job at a little winery called Gloria. Worked for a woman named Mary Edwards, who has done a lot of things over the years with a lot of different wineries. And she was a great early mentor for me, and someone I feel fortunate to have worked for and worked with over the years. And pretty much been in this neighborhood ever since then. So I definitely found my roots here. It's home to all of us. I think we all love living here because of the diversity we have here. We not only with the wines, but with, we can all drive 25 minutes out to the coast and get freshly caught salmon off of a boat. We can go out and get oysters that were harvested that day out of the bay. We can go find an artisan cheesemaker who may be a friend who is willing to trade wine for great cheese. So it's really a wonderful place to live, not just a wonderful place to make wine. So we all love it here.
Well, thank you, Jeff. KIKO, so tell us a little bit about Freeman. Where is Freeman located, and when did you get started? And
yes.
what do you farm and produce?
Yes, the Freeman is just making Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and the winery is started with my husband and I in 2001. My husband grown up in New York, but he went to Napa right after college with a bunch of guy friends and had a little too much to drink. And he said, this is great, I'm gonna do this someday. So it was his dream to find a small winery and make wine. For 20 years, when we are dating, he was always talking about having a winery someday. And we both love Pinot Noir, so we didn't go to Napa, but we came and looked for a place in Sonoma side. And we drove 3 years up and down Sonoma coast looking for a place to buy. In 2001, we found a small rundown winery outside of Sebastopol. And that was a winery that was built as a winery in 78. The original owner tried to make it as a business for 3 years, ran out of money. So they closed the winery and moved on. And for 20 years, it was kind of ghost winery. It had a permit to make wine there from Sonoma County, but no one was using it. So when we came, the winery building was really falling down, but the owner didn't know how to value the winery license. So he just sold us with the 3.5 acres of land with the land price. So we bought that, and a Freeman winery license came for free. And we restored the building and hired our friend winemaker, Ed Kurtzman, and he came on board, and we bought grapes from Dutton Ranch and Mary Edwards in 2002, made our first expensive hobby project, Pinot Noir, and released it in 2004. And that year, the movie Sideways came out, and Pinot Noir exploded. And so we are at the right place at the right timing. And I did an apprenticeship under Ed Kurtzman for 8 years and took over from him as a winemaker in 2010. And so I never went to school, ran everything on the job by washing barrels and cleaning tanks and all that. But it's been a fun journey for us. And we make Russian River wine and West Sonoma Coast wine. All of our Russian River wine comes from Green Valley. And we just live at the winery and just absolutely love it. So dream come true for us.
So KIKO, your journey is sort of a unique one for winemakers in Sonoma County. You were born in Japan, and did you have much exposure to wine when you were growing up?
Actually, my father was a huge Burgundy drinker, and Japanese love Burgundy wine or French wine in general. And especially my dad was really into Burgundy wines. And Japan didn't really have drinking age when I was growing up. And my mom didn't drink. So when I was about 7, my father decided he's gonna raise me as his drinking buddy someday. So he started brainwashing me. So I grown up talking about Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and it's always my first love.
Wow, that's great. Fantastic. So Natalie, we'll talk a little bit about Pinot Noir as it's grown in the Sebastopol Hills part of the neighborhood of Russian River Valley. What's unique about growing Pinot down in that part of the world, that Freestone corridor all the way down to south of Sebastopol?
Well, it's actually probably the coolest region in the neighborhood kind of setup, and so we do get longer hang time there. So we're going to harvest last in that area, which gives us better color. So skins get thicker, and the fog kind of disappears last. So it's just an extended hang time, and we get these really lovely flavors from the fruit. And it's a lot of Gold Ridge soil. I think there's some Syrah planted there as well, but we are only sourcing Pinot. It's mostly Pinot and Chard. Every once in a while, there will be some spring rain, so there's a little bit of shatter, but that's kind of okay because it'll kind of loosen up the cluster structure, and that'll allow the berries that are on there to actually just concentrate even more. So the vine will put even more energy into the fruit that it does have. So there's a sort of an added layer of extremeness to the quality and the flavors that are coming out of there. We tend to get a lot of sort of pomegranate and cardamom, kind of more of like a black tea spice. So you get these really dark fruits that come in, really dark blackberry kind of fruits, and then it also has this kind of layer of spice, which can hold up to some beautiful French oak that we kind of source from. So what's special about that area is really that extended hang time that those vines get.
So Jeff, the Laguna Ridge is a part of Russian River Valley that separates the Santa Rosa Plains from Green Valley. And it's sort of unique that it's as the river turns, as it goes south from basically Mendocino County down to Healdsburg, it takes an abrupt 90-degree turn. It goes out to the ocean, and then the ridge that continues down to Sebastopol makes up Laguna Ridge. What's unique about growing grapes in that area, the soils and the types of wines that it produces?
Yeah, it's a really interesting kind of little neighborhood that sits, only 150 feet higher at probably the peak than the Santa Rosa Plain or the low spots of Green Valley. And literally you can be half a mile away from another neighborhood, but make a completely different wine. So the topography, first off, is the obvious one. You sit up just a touch higher, so the coldest air settles down into the Green Valley kind of creek down at the bottom of the creek there in the Santa Rosa Plains. Sometimes you'll burn off fog there a little bit earlier on Laguna Ridge, but it's not drastic like some of the areas out near Occidental. But for me, I think the biggest driver is kind of the variability in soils there, because we all see a predominance in our, probably most of our favorite vineyards in the Russian River are on Gold Ridge, which is an old decomposed sandstone, old volcanic ash that's settled to the bottom of the ocean when all of our land was part of the ocean bottom, over 10 million years ago. But in Laguna Ridge, you have these streaks of different soil types, the Altamont series, which has iron in it, and you'll actually see more of a red tinged soil because of the oxidation of that iron. And what I've seen in the vineyards, both with Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, is a really distinct, I think of it as a real textural difference. So when you compare something in the Green Valley that's very bright and racy and acid driven, on the Chardonnay side, you know, citrus, green apples, we get some exotic, almost tropical-ish kind of spice aromatics and flavors in Green Valley. When you get up on the ridgetop, and I'm drinking a wine called Four Hearts, which is predominantly from the Laguna Ridge area. But with that iron in the soil, with Chardonnay, we see kind of a depth and a richness that comes through while still maintaining that bright acidity that comes with the cool climate. But it's very much a textural thing for me. It's a weight and kind of an indescribable thing that you just know it when you taste it. And the same thing holds true with Pinot Noir, I think. Most of us that work with fruit there see that there is almost kind of a loamy, kind of freshly plowed earth quality from a lot of the Pinot Noir that comes from those soils, especially where you see the Altamont series. And you can see the juxtaposition in some vineyards where you have Gold Ridge over here and right next door the Altamont. The wines are completely different, both beautiful, but really great expressions, and definitely a wonderful place to source grapes and grow vineyards, grow wines. And you know, we're lucky we have most of the vines we work with there are over 40 years old. So you have these older vines on those soils that really produce stunning wines.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a more established neighborhood of the Russian River Valley, not quite as old as the Middle Reach, but certainly older than something like Sebastopol Hills. So
yeah,
KIKO,
you know, the old timers, you know, the Rocciolis and you know, others up in the Middle Reach, William Selliam and others, you know, and then you have Joseph Swan and a lot of great producers that have been there a long time in the Laguna Ridge area. So a lot of history there.
So we'll move on to Green Valley. Green Valley is the only AVA within the only neighborhood that is its own AVA. It was founded in '83, the same year that the Russian River Valley was founded. It's only 19,000 acres in size, and it's pretty unique and diverse. Both Hartford and Freeman Winery are both in Green Valley. Be interesting to get both of your feedback. But KIKO, why don't we start with you? What do you find that's unique about growing Pinot in Green Valley, and what type of wine does it produce? Is there a fingerprint that you see and taste from wines from Green Valley?
Mm-hmm. So Green Valley is like Sebastopol Hills. It's really cool area within Russian River. And so we get quite a bit of fogs, and we are probably elevation-wise slightly lower than Sebastopol Hills. So sometimes at night it's even colder. And we get a really long hang time, which is great for phenolic development. And our soil, the Gold Ridge soil, gives wines such a finesse, and it's a beautiful aroma. So we make Pinot Noir from that, but it's always have a beautiful rose petals, violets, like a lot of flowery note, and also have like a tangerine peel, little orange citrus thing in the background. And I just love the one. In Chardonnay, it's always have a lot of acidity and nice like a green apples. And it's and if you come to Green Valley, everything is so green, even in the middle of the summer when rest of the California is quite brown. So there's a reason it's called as a Green Valley. It's very distinct.
KIKO, what are some of the challenges? You said that Green Valley is a cold growing area. What are some of the challenges that you have at your estate property in terms of, you know, Natalie was talking a little bit about frost in the spring, or rain during set being problematic. What challenges do you find in Green Valley?
So since it's cold, our flowering time is a little later than the other places. So we usually have the flowering start in June. And last couple of years, we always have some rain coming in June, and that kind of makes a shatter in our fruit set. But it's kind of, I like it. It makes more complexity in the wine. But challenge-wise, we have so much fog here, so you have to kind of fight with mildew, botrytis. It's always a concern.
Jeff, do you have any additional comments about Green Valley? Some of the unique attributes to growing Pinot Noir or Chardonnay in that AVA?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what KIKO has said about the area. It is the challenges we see. Two of our sites in the Green Valley are very, very low lying. They're literally right on creeks, and in those low pockets, we will see, potential frost damage early in the spring. Even one of the vineyards has frosted actually in October before, when we still have fruit hanging out. So I experienced that last year. I think both Mike and I experienced that in 02,
Wow.
I think.
It makes it easier. It makes it easier when all the leaves fall off. It makes it a lot easier to pick.
It's really strange to walk into a vineyard and sample the vineyard when there aren't leaves anymore, and it's just fruit. It's kind of surreal, but those are extreme challenges in a couple little spots. But I just love the focus you get in those Green Valley wines. I think that's kind of the defining character. Laguna Ridge is more rich and brawny in a sense, still elegant, but Green Valley is just super bright and lively and exotic. So
cool. So Natalie, I asked you to pull a wine from the cellar. What and tell us a little bit about the wine and how you made it, and what you like about the result.
So I have brought our reserve. I can't this way because it'll disappear. So I brought our reserve Pinot Noir, and this is from 2 different Dutton ranches in the Russian River Valley, and they are Morelli and Manzana. So a little bit tipping into that Freestone area, which is in the Sebastopol Hills. I love getting fruit from there because it does have that rich darkness. You get the deep dark cherry, pomegranate flavors, and it's nice to not really be a winemaker when you deal with really great fruit. You kind of just let it do its. So just really kind of hands off. We bring it in. We have a couple open top fermenters that this goes into, and so it gets some punch downs, and then goes through malolactic and barrel. We do about 40% new French oak, a little bit of Hungarian. That kind of combo just gives us a really great backbone. We try not to be oak first, fruit second, because we're paying so much for such great fruit, and we want to highlight the specialness that these farmers put into growing this. So definitely don't want to mask the fruit. We want to let all of that deep dark, those deep dark flavors kind of shine. I love this wine. It's really good. You can get this at our tasting room or online at francisfordcoppolawinery.com. I don't think you'll find this in stores. I haven't seen it. It's definitely a smaller production. We only produce maybe about 2,000 cases, and then we'll kind of look at everything else in the valley, and if it didn't make the cut, then it'll go down to the next tier, which is still a really great wine. I don't believe you can find those in supermarkets either. You can definitely find them at the winery or in restaurants when restaurants open. But working with Pinot has always been a favorite thing of mine. I've kind of followed that where I could. If I could work for a great Pinot producer, I would. I did work out at Freestone for a little bit, and just really interesting wines out there. You only get maybe 2 tons to the acre, and some people think I'm lying, but no, it's really kind of a tiny production, and it just really shows that the quality can be really amazing at that level. So
now that you had to open that bottle of wine, what are you going to, since it's Friday night, what are you going to pair that with? Do you have a dish in mind, or an aspirational dish that you might look to make?
I don't. I was actually going to try to make some jalapeno poppers. I got some jalapenos from my little garden, And I actually just bought some truffle pecorino from Trader Joe's. And so I've been kind of munching on that all afternoon, and that's going really well with this. It was a really great choice. I think that there's this a dry saltiness with the truffle richness that kind of really complements this Pinot Noir. The Pinot Noir really complements it. And they don't really outshine each other, but they go really well together. So I'm going to keep munching on cheese. I just can't help it during harvest.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Stewart, you pulled the cork on a Chardonnay. What pray tell? You mentioned it before. What do you have in front of you?
I've got the Four Heart Chardonnay that we produce, so that's our fancy label. But Four Hearts is, really based on Laguna Ridge. They're old 45-year vines that planted to old Wente selection, old Seas selection. So a lot of heritage selections in here, old Ruid as well, and the Curtis selection, which is kind of one of the precursors to Clone 4, theoretically. But because of the structure of this wine, I'm thinking, and this just happened by accident, I think. I got home late last night and looked in the fridge outside to honestly go grab a cold beer because we all need beer at the end of a long harvest day. But I looked, my wife had bought scallops and steaks. So I think it's surf and turf tonight.
Nice.
Just sear scallops, do a little Four Hearts, butter, reduction, little lemon juice in there, and just barely sear those little scallops, throw a steak in a pan. And this is a wine that actually will hold up to both ends of the protein scale, as I like to call it, seafood, fish. The Chardonnay, because of the acidity, the flavor, the intensity body, will really work well with rich flavors, creamy flavors like scallops. But it's surprisingly good with a steak, again, because it has weight. So if I'm going to go white wine on a hot day with a steak, this is the kind of style, I kind of look for.
That's good. We don't want your cholesterol to drop during harvest. That would be terrible.
No, my cholesterol's fine,
Okay. That's
somehow good. Miraculously. The other numbers, that's why we drink wine. Stay healthy.
There you go. Exactly. So KIKO, what did you pull a cork on this afternoon?
Yeah, so this is a estate fruit Pinot Noir Gloria Vineyard at the winery, and the vineyard is called Gloria because we bought an apple orchard from a lady named Gloria. And also my husband and I, way back when we are college kids, we met at a keg party in the middle of the Hurricane Gloria in New York. So that's kind of, we feel like a name Gloria is very kind of memorable to us. And this is, as I was saying earlier, has a beautiful purple flowers bouquet. It's like a lavender flowers and orange. It goes great with like any kind of birds, but like during the COVID, I'm trying to perfect my skill to make a duck confit. And we have a friend who grows duck in Petaluma, and we've been trading wine with him with his duck breast and the duck legs. And I've been working on the perfect duck confit recipe. So I'm gonna pair with that.
Well, good. When you've got it perfected, the three of us will come over. We'll come over to the winery and check it out. So.
Let's have a party.
So, KIKO, is that wine available online? Could customers purchase it?
Through our winery, yes, website.
Okay. And the production is, I'm sure the production's pretty small.
Yeah, it's about 440 cases a year. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And KIKO, is the winery open to the public for tasting?
Yes, it's by appointment only, but we are open for tasting, and we have a beautiful picnic table so people can bring picnics and taste wine and enjoy themselves there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jeff, is Hartford open? First of all, is the wine available online, and is Hartford open for tastings?
Absolutely. Yeah, the Four Hearts, as well as any number of the other 40 wines that we produce, are all available on our website, www.hartfordwines.com. And there's some great maps and descriptors and kind of overlays on all the wines and the regions that we produce from on there.
Hopefully lots of videos. Hopefully lots of videos of you talking.
Let's hope not too many videos. Maybe some videos of Haley and Don.
There you go.
Now you'll find some great. There's some great video of some of the vineyards, some drone footage that really gives you a sense of these different places. So I would recommend people kind of take a peek at that, because you kind of get a feel for the Green Valley vineyards compared to some of the other sites, and it's very different seeing them in that context as opposed to driving, down the road and seeing things. It really gives you a little more feel for what the places are all about. But yeah, our winery tasting room is open, again, by appointment only. We're open Thursday through Monday, so closed on Tuesdays and Wednesdays now, and have a wonderful little outdoor patio area in front of the winery here, where we can all practice good social, safe distancing and taste some great wines. And the weather here, the last few days, we're finally back to kind of a normal kind of weather pattern. So we really hope people will come out and visit us all safely, of course, and come enjoy Sonoma County.
Natalie, and if customers want to come up to Coppola, how do they make a reservation? What different tiers of tasting opportunity do you offer?
So we are open for tasting, and reservation I think is required. You can do a couple different tastings because we do have so many different wines. You can definitely do a reserve tasting and kind of take a deeper dive into what we produce that's kind of specialty. And our restaurant is also open. We've got a big patio out there, so it's all open air. Like everyone else, we've kind of followed suit with trying to keep everything as sanitary as possible. And I think everybody in Sonoma County is just really want you to just come and visit. We're open. We're here for you. We like having our customers come. We're big fans of you. So if people can just make their reservation, we'll bend over backwards for you and give you a good time. Taste some good wine.
Well, I wanted to, as winemakers, this is 2020 has not been a normal year by any stretch of the imagination, and harvest brings a sense of normalcy to me. One of my favorite times of the year is right now when we start draining and pressing some of our red fermenters. Really getting to feel what as we're devatting and removing the wine from skins and seeds and giving them a light press. That's sort of my favorite time of year, sitting at the basket press and tasting off pressed fractions, or sitting at the tank and tasting. I wanted to ask you, start with the KIKO. KIKO, what's your favorite moment of a normal harvest?
I love punching down the open top tanks, and quite a few wineries use machine punch down, but I get up on top of the tank and do the punch down myself, and you can kind of communicate with grapes and how they are doing, and just I feel like I'm helping them get better. So that's my the favorite moment.
Cool. Jeff, what's your favorite moment of harvest?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a combination of the things you guys just said, because it is really, we all taste a freshly destemmed tank, and it tastes like fresh sweet juice, and it's sort of one thing that's almost fairly simple in a lot of ways compared to where the wines are going to go. So for me, it's kind of watching that evolution as you start to see the fermentation go, and midway through you start to get a sense of where the wine's going and what it wants to be when it grows up. And as you're tasting through the last days before you drain it off, just seeing those really subtle changes that all of our guests that are watching us today don't get to do. And it's really, for me, one of the most exciting things is day to day, you literally see wines just evolve and change. And then as you drain, you say, yeah, I got this right at the right time. And then the next day when we rack it off the heaviest lees, taking light lees to go to barrel, you know, you see that kind of moment of, okay, we did a lot of things right this year. And that's, for me, it's sort of that short journey that leads to, you know, the next 12 to 17 months of barrel aging till we finally get to put a wine in the bottle and not worry about it anymore and pass it off to all of you guys out there in the real world. But that little journey where we're kind of seeing that wine being born is really, you know, every year it brings us back. Even, you know, by the end of harvest, we're all like, oh God, we somehow made it through it again, and you're dead tired, you're beat, but the next year we're all fired up and ready to do it again. So,
well said, Jeff.
We've got the greatest job in the world, and some days the worst job in the world, but we still come back for it every year.
I was going to say I thought that your favorite moment would be climbing underneath the vineyard row, marking rows of where to start and where to stop picking. That was
well, we did that the other night out at Fog Dance, and yeah, I'm not as young as I used to be, and you know, climbing underneath is a lot harder, and yeah, 6'3" isn't the size to be doing that, but hey, we have fun with it.
There you go. Natalie, what's your favorite moment of harvest?
I love filling brand new barrels. That smell that comes rushing right out at you when you fill a brand new barrel with your favorite Pinot that you did work hard to sample in the morning and ferment through, and it kind of turned out the way you wanted. You used that yeast that was going to bring out those beautiful flavors from wherever it's coming from. And then just filling the barrel and getting that big woof of just oak and fruit and wine. And I wish I could bottle that smell. It's amazing. And then it's a great sign. You're like, okay, I can take a breath. You're in barrel, you're tucked away. I'll check on you in a week and see how your ML's doing. And then you kind of just sit back from there. It's kind of a nice completion moment. Yeah. So,
we're starting to get a few questions from our audience. One I thought would be really interesting to go around. You know, I'm not a superstitious person, but I think like a good baseball player, you always have little things that you try not to, you know, little superstitions or good luck practices that you have. KIKO, do you have any sort of good luck practices or superstitions that you embrace during harvest?
I don't really have that. No.
Okay.
Not for me.
Jeff, how about you?
Yeah, there's always a few things. I mean, the obvious ones, like you never wash your car during harvest, so it doesn't rain. I mean, but we don't have time to wash our cars as it is. But no, I think mine are more geared around kind of little traditions over the years that have happened. Obviously, the occasional cold beer at the end of the day with a crew goes a long way to keep morale up. But we have a tradition here of we do breakfast burritos on the weekends always here. It's lots of good spicy sausage and scrambled eggs and lots of jalapenos. And that's kind of something that honestly keeps everybody going. You know, the weekly lunches we do, you know, where we try to get everyone together, which is more difficult with COVID. But, you know, the breakfast burrito thing has worked for me for a lot of years. So I've just stuck with it. I figure if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So. There
you go. Natalie, do you have any practices that you embrace every year?
Well, I agree with Jeff. It's a good idea to keep your crew happy with food. They can be very food motivated, as am I. Every year for the first load of grapes, we get our bottle of champagne and have a toast and throw the rest of our champagne into the first load. And it's kind of just a harvest blessing and hoping everything goes well that year. And I think that's a really fun tradition. It's always nice to drink champagne at 9 a.m.
I always, unless you can sleep until 10. So yeah,
There you go.
there you go. Jeff, you make your breakfast burritos, right? That was a question. They were asking where you got your breakfast burritos.
No, we make them. I make it here. It all has to be made from scratch. It's, we don't buy them. Come on. You got to put your heart and soul into it. Special formulation, scrambled eggs. I go get the big 5 dozen eggs at the store so it lasts both days. And oh yeah, spicy Italian sausage is the key. And then lots of jalapenos. Got to do it.
Nice.
I do make
more a little tradition, I think, that kind of keeps a lot of us going during harvest. And Mike and I have done this for years. We have a traditional harvest dinner. At some point, like right around this time of year during harvest, we get out of the winery at like 7 or 8 o'clock, get out a little early, and we go meet somewhere for dinner, and we bring a couple great bottles of wine out of our cellars. And it might just be the 2 of us. It might be some other buddies, some other winemakers, whoever could get out. And we literally just kind of celebrate just having one of the first real sit down great meals of harvest, because you're just too busy to do it every day, and drink some great wine and just kind of savor the moment. So I'm looking forward to that next week, Mike. We got to do that.
Me too. Absolutely. That was one of the questions. How do you celebrate the end of harvest? And normally I start celebrating before the end of the year, because by the time you're done with harvest, there's sort of an emotional letdown, and you sort of just want to be left alone and crawl up in a fetal position for a long weekend, or at least I do. So, KIKO, do you have any end of harvest celebration?
Yeah, I do cook harvest dinner for my entire team, and we get somebody come and shuck oysters, and I make prime rib. So that's for everybody who involved in the harvest. So people look forward to that every year. And I forgot to say earlier, but it's not a superstitious reason, but I do make breakfast quiche for my team. And I come up with this chorizo quiche a few years ago, and people just love it. And my former interns, like when they come visit later in years, they just go to the refrigerator and open and see if there's any leftovers. So they loved it so much that they want to have one more bite. So it's always fun.
A traditional Japanese chorizo quiche.
Right. It's not a jalapeno in.
Right?
Yeah.
I better up my game. Chorizo quiche, way better than breakfast burritos. Wow.
Totally. Natalie, do you have any end of harvest celebrations?
Well, like everyone else, we actually do a harvest dinner at the end as well. It's just a really great reminder of why you do the hard work that you do. You can open some really great wine, and the wine that you've just made isn't there yet, but as you're tasting what the reserves from years past, you just really appreciate all of the hard work that you're doing, and it's such a great treat for the whole team. And it is great to just kind of slow down, like you were saying, Mike. A couple weeks after, I'm still just like, don't know what to do with myself. What do I do with all this free time? I go a little nuts now that it's all free, but again, it's just really great to stop and have that treat of eating really great food, drinking really great wine, remembering why we're all here, and we get to live here, we get to work here in Sonoma County, just in general. It's just such a gorgeous place to work and live, and like Jeff was saying, the diversity is amazing. You can get all different types of food here, and it's all legit, just really great, authentic food out here. So we're pretty spoiled, and it's good to recognize that, appreciate it.
Well, awesome. Well, hey, it's middle of harvest, and thank you all so much for taking the time to share your passion and your incredible wines with our Taste of Sonoma at Home edition of Wine Country Weekend. Hopefully next year, knock knock knock, we'll be able to do it in person. because I missed the beer tent down at the Green Music Center. That was a nice addition. But good luck to all of you for the rest of harvest. Does anyone any closing thoughts?
I appreciate you all, and thank you for letting me be on this panel. And it's really great to meet you virtually and talk about great wine and all the great wine that you make. And I'm incredibly thirsty now, so thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, thanks to Sonoma County Vineyards for keeping this tradition alive. Normally, we're all sitting in a little seminar room doing this together, which is a lot of fun. But at least, you know, in these strange modern times we're in right now, at least we get to do something and share a little bit about what's happening with harvest. So thanks to all you guys for tuning in today, and come back and see us soon. And thank you, Mike, for moderating. Very nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for including me. And just Sonoma is beautiful right now. Blue sky, no smoke in the air. It's just gorgeous time of the year. So please come and see all of us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all very much. And please tune in to the auction that's continuing to go on. Very exciting. It's going to continue. I believe the live auction is tomorrow at 4 o'clock, but lots of festivities and some additional panel Zoom conversations coming up. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.